Hello, everybody. It's me, Will.
And me, Kristen.
And welcome back to another live recording of Guide to the Unknown.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Happy to have you.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Sprucing up the place for you a little bit.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Sorry. It's just hit me. I just remembered that.
It's an inside joke from our childhood family.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Shit, isn't even worth explaining it.
I think it's probably you had to be there thing. It's a quick explain. Our great Uncle Ray was showing his new car, and he was like, "Oh, what do you think?" He had like kind of a funny voice. He's like, "What do you think, Bill?" It's a Beamer or whatever. And Will went, "There's a bug on it." And Uncle Ray went, "Oh my God!"
He was like a clean freak.
It just really stuck in our mind.
It just really made me laugh because I didn't know what to say. I don't know anything about cars.
Yeah, captured the imagination.
So he asked me
Hi,
what I thought
Mom.
of his car, and I said there was a bug on it. And it scared him.
There's a bug on
That
it.
made me laugh.
Oh my God.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, KB, Mom, Miss Sweetie, CBFR, Jasmine, Amber. Oh, my God.
Hello. Mom knows what it's all about.
Yeah, welcome back to
Mom knows about that good Uncle Ray stuff.
that good stuff. That real potent good stuff. Oh, my gosh, everybody.
Yeah. How's everybody doing?
So happy to be here.
So happy to be here.
So thrilled. I don't know. Suddenly I'm full of beans. I
Thrilled.
don't know what my deal is.
Yeah, it does seem sudden.
I don't know. It just got me.
You
Oh
know
my
what?
God really got me.
Great.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Got me good. Did you send me the thing?
Yes.
You did? Through
Email.
Email? Okay.
Yep.
I just want to make sure that I have it queued up. We're going to do it in the
Joke.
mid section. You're 1, I'm 2, you're 3.
Yep.
Okay.
Did it not?
Got it.
There we go.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it. Yep.
Cool. So you will read that.
Okay. Very cool.
Fantastic. Beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Tina. Hi, Bobby.
Hello.
Your sweatshirt looks great, Bob.
What?
Bobby posted a picture of himself in his Guide to the Unknown sweatshirt.
Oh, that's cool.
And
I didn't see that.
It was on Insta Stories, and I shared it on our Instagram.
Hey, look at that. That's cool.
Yeah.
He said, "Comfy AF confirmed." Mm-hmm. The
I've heard they're very
Buddy
comfy.
Bobby wearing it well. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I know.
That's
I like
awesome,
the gray
Bob.
with it, too. It looks good.
Yeah.
If you guys want one, you go to tpublic.com/use. Oh, I wrote it wrong, actually, on the thing. It's tpublic.com/user/GTTU pod. I wrote just /GTTU pod.
Yeah. Can I? Okay.
Or you can go to gttupod.com and find the link there.
There he is. Look at that.
Yay.
Bam. 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 Bam.
Boom.
Bam. 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 Maybe I'm just happy to be doing this show.
Tabitha. Hi,
I
Eleanor.
can't really tell what's happening with me.
Whatever. I mean, it's positive, so who cares why the hell it's
I
happening?
guess I have a lot of silly energy right
Yeah.
now.
Fantastic.
A lot of giggle energy. My yuck
You might
yuck
you
pills.
have taken some giggle water.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe well,
Hey, Caitlin.
maybe
what?
I'll get into it. But maybe I had some Afghan temple ball. Did you read that too?
No, I didn't read that, but I glanced over the article so I can imagine what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I want to know what it is.
It's
Okay.
awesome. I'll tell you. Oh boy. All right, everybody. Do you want to just go for it?
Yeah, totally. Hey, Stephanie.
Hey. Oh, please consider sharing
Megan.
this. If you're watching this live, please consider sharing this to tell other people to get in.
Yeah.
here.
Ooh, wait, did I share it on my personal thing? I think I did.
And I hope you're all
I
enjoying Ghost Adventures as well.
Yes.
Which is very fun.
Yes, I hope you liked it. Okay.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm good. If you're
All
good.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I've got them.
Toot toot.
Beep, beep. Okay.
Beep beep Richie.
You know how I sometimes listen to past episodes of ours, like get in the mode?
Oh right, yeah.
I have never listened to the Netherworld Dispatch like in my podcast app before because I only just added the RSS link.
Yeah.
Bad podcaster. And I was listening to the Dr. Sleep review.
Oh nice.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just I went through it's a whole thing that I'm not going to get into, but I'm a dork. Mm-hmm. But I went ahead and I rebooted my entire phone.
Oh, right.
And I made it so that, like, right at the top,
Oh, yeah.
it's Guide to the Unknown flanked by Netherworld Dispatch and Ghost Adventures, which is cool.
It's pretty tight lineup.
I like that it, like, continues our logo across all three.
Yeah, it does look good.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
I like that, too. What was I going to say? Oh, also, this is not an ad, but HBO Max has the extended edition of Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, I still want to do a double feature of that.
I do, too. I just got the HBO Max trial. So, if any time you wanted to, I think we're going to have to extend it at least for 1 month, maybe. The trial's 7 days. There's a lot of stuff I want to watch on it.
7 days.
7 days.
Yeah, I have zero curiosity about HBO Max. I'm sure it's fine. It's
Search
another
Party.
streaming service. Right,
Search Party Season 3 is on it.
Yeah, I forgot you messaged me about that.
Yeah.
I really liked 1 and 2.
Me too. So I got to watch it, and I would have to watch it all in a week, and I don't know if I will.
Yeah.
And I want to watch I'll Be Gone in the Dark. So
Right. Yeah, is that the Michelle McNamara? Yeah.
So I might be extending it for a month. I imagine. I don't think I'll get to it all.
I just found out I've been paying for Google Stadia for like 2 months.
What is that?
This stupid game streaming service. So I had to cancel it. I'm like, nah. I also put out a holier than thou tweet about how I was going to cancel my
AMC Stubs?
yeah, and I found out that it's been paused for a
I
month.
know, William. I was thinking that. I was like, Will's been paying for AMC Stubs? How is that even possible? Like mine's.
Well, because the last time that I looked at my membership, I got charged for it like a while back when I was like, I don't know, I'm not going to the movies.
Yeah.
And I just assumed that it's been going. I haven't looked that closely.
Yeah.
I also haven't thought about it in months. So I don't know.
I know. I was thinking that. I was like, how is it possible that Will has an ongoing, like, current? Because they paused everything. I canceled it.
I'm still
just because of COVID.
I'm still gonna cancel out of grumpitude, I think.
Can you even?
No, because their website doesn't work.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? Let's move
nothing
on.
works.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
I could do dorky movie talk for a while.
I know.
Even just movie going talk, I can get into.
Right.
Okay. Hi, JD.
Hey. Yeah.
Okay.
JD.
Glad you're enjoying Ghost Adventures.
All right. Let's do the show.
All right. Thanks, guys. Sorry about that. That Will and I just like talked to each other for a minute. Okay.
Sick of talking to you.
Well, you're in trouble, mister, because we're going to do it for the next hour or so.
All right. Fine.
Okay. Hello. Welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And this week, we're going to talk about the Allagash incident, which is a UFO thing that happened at Allagash Lake in Maine.
It certainly is a UFO thing, because some might refer to it as an encounter, some might refer to it as an abduction,
Right.
Others might refer to it as a nothing.
Yes, as a hoax, a hooey hoax.
Yes.
I did not know about that aspect of it until we did the research for this.
I know. It's a fairly recent development that one of the 4 gentlemen that experienced the Allagash incident has come out and said, but you know,
Right.
we'll get into that a little bit
Right.
later in the episode.
It's lived on in my mind since I watched the Unsolved Mysteries episode however long ago as like a thing.
Yeah, this was really your sort of thing. We've had this on the list forever. I think people have recommended this to us. But this is also something that you called out as being like, oh, I've wanted to do this for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I always remembered this segment from Unsolved Mysteries. I really, really like it.
Yeah.
So.
And especially Unsolved Mysteries is back.
I know.
Yeah. Have you watched it all?
It's back, baby. I've watched some of it. I watched the first 2 episodes, and then I jumped ahead to their new UFO episode, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that's right. I
What
liked
about
that
you?
a lot too. Allie and I watched, I think, all of it. I think.
Yeah.
I think we skipped over episode 3 to get to the UFO that
Right.
you had recommended.
Right.
So maybe we have to double back to get to to episode 3. We may have skipped over that, but watch the rest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's
I
really
mean, yeah, it is really good. I wish there was more paranormal stuff in it. That Berkshire's UFO episode is the only one of the 6 that's not a true crime thing. So I'm a little disappointed about that because it's kind of like, I mean, it's good, but it's basically like Dateline or Cold Case Files.
Yeah, I completely agree. But for those of you Guide to the Unknownies out there, the Berkshires.
Yes.
We've been talking about it on Guide to the Unknown forever, since basically the beginning. It's a place that's a very personal spot for Kristen and me from our childhood.
Right.
We did a show from there in the past, and now it's a subject matter on Unsolved Mysteries, so look at that.
That's right. The Berkshires are basically Rogers lore.
Yeah.
Rogers Dunn lore.
It was
Yeah.
really cool to see. Like, they even called out Lennox.
I know. They
the
showed
episode.
a map, and I was like, we go to all those places. Yeah.
I was pretty sure that the parade they showed was one that our grandfather may have been in.
He would be in like the Memorial Day parade.
Okay.
So maybe. I don't remember what the parade was for.
I don't know. I just remember us going to a parade
Yeah.
there, and like, I don't know, it all just like really evoked that feeling of like our childhood.
I know. It was awesome. I loved it.
But yeah, hey, speaking of which, if you are familiar to Guide to the Unknown, then ignore me for a moment. If you don't know about Guide to the Unknown, Kristen and I are a brother-sister duo. We're obsessed with spooky stuff. We've been doing this show since 2017, and we've covered hundreds of topics, pop culture topics, cursed movies, the real story behind things like The Conjuring, folklore, what are banshees, what are wendigos?
Right.
Stuff like that. You can find all those things in the archive. If you subscribe to Guide to the Unknown, you're going to get a brand new episode in all of your podcast feeds every Friday. The show's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. There's a YouTube version that you can watch on youtube.com/talkbomb. Subscribe wherever you typically get your shows. You can find links to all of our social media and everything on gttupod.com, where you can also now find our spinoff podcast, Ghost Adventures Adventures. Kristen and I have just started on our journey rewatching every episode of the Travel Channel series Ghost Adventures, hosted by Zach Bagans and his crew of paranormal investigators. It's super fun. There are several episodes out right now, and you can also get that on all your podcast apps. Guide to the Unknown is all over the place.
It's everywhere. And if you want even more of us, you can support us through Patreon. First of all, it helps support the show. It is kind of a thank you and a tip to us for putting out all these shows every week. And also, you can get your own private podcast over there when you're one of those generous donors. It's called the Netherworld Dispatch. And if you donate $4 or more per month at the Netherworld Warrior level, you'll get access to that podcast, which comes out on the 13th of every month. And it's going to be coming out on Monday if you're listening to this in real time. And there are like, I don't know, a couple dozen that you haven't gotten to listen to yet. So go to patreon.com/GTTUpod if you want to thank us with money for the shows. And if you want to check out all that stuff.
Yeah, it really helps out. It helps support us. It helps keep us doing this and being able to expand our horizons to other things.
Yep.
So thank you all.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. Okay.
Cool. All right. So the Allagash incident.
Yes. I feel like I should go first. I'll tell the story as it was told on Unsolved Mysteries, and then you can pull the sweater.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Keep pulling that sweater.
Keep pulling the sweater. So the deal is, I don't know that we've said that. Did we say it explicitly on the episode yet? That Will got information about one of the people who was involved in the Allagash Lake incident, who says that it was Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
By saying that I got information, it makes it sound like I met
He found
like a stranger in the
right
park
on the internet. He got it.
who like handed me a brown paper bag and was like, "Don't let anybody see what's in that.
Right.
This is for your eyes only. For Guide to the Unknown's eyes only."
Yeah, Will got it.
Everybody, feel free to send me strange information.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Fine. Yeah, you can send us tips like that.
Hell yeah.
So that's what's gonna happen. I'll explain it to you, and then Will's gonna kind of
Rip it apart.
Yeah, rip it apart. So they covered this on season 7, episode 21 of Unsolved Mysteries, and it was actually an episode that was only about alien encounters. I think that's what the episode is called. So first it goes into Roswell and the Allagash Lake incident and maybe one other thing, but this is a total alien-centric episode, and you can find it on Amazon Prime. I will link to it in the show notes. So they start off the segment with a man telling us that he's been having these nightmares, or he was having these nightmares, and he couldn't explain them. And in the nightmares, he saw himself in a brightly lit room, and he saw 4 of his friends all sitting on a bench next to each other, naked, in this very, very bright room. He himself was also naked. Then a shadowy figure would kind of come and enter the room, and he didn't remember it after that. And he said that, quote, "It wasn't like other nightmares where you think about some dumb thing. This would stick with me for days and days. I couldn't think about anything else. I couldn't function. It was horrible." So he was having this nightmare more and more often, he says. He would wake up in a sweat. He couldn't go back to sleep. It started to be a whole thing that was like dominating his life. Then his twin brother told him that he was also having nightmares, and they were the same thing. They were similar or maybe even identical. Not unlike them.
Yeah, exactly. Identical brothers with identical dreams.
Right. That would be a good subject for the show sometime, like twins who experience things in tandem, like that.
Twin phenomenon.
Yeah, that idea of like one twin bumping their elbow and the twin across the country is like, ow.
Yeah, that's fun.
So they thought it was weird, but they just didn't know what to make of it. Like, they didn't say this in the show, but yeah, maybe it was a twin thing. Who knows? And I'll just be phrasing all this, not dismantling it. I'm going to phrase it as though it's all true. So, in the dreams, when they were comparing things, they were always with their friends Chuck Rack and Charlie Foltz. And they started to wonder if these dreams were brought on by a weird thing that had happened to them 12 years ago when they camped out on the Allagash waterway in Maine for 2 weeks and had something unexplained happen to them. So on the second night that they were out there, they said that they saw a bright light above the mountains that glowed.
Flowed green.
It flowed green. Flowed. It was glowing very brightly, and then it blinked out. And they were unsettled and like, what is this thing? But they decided to just move on. 2 days later, they decided to go night fishing, and they built a huge fire at their campsite before they headed out. And so in the Talking Head things in Unsolved Mysteries, they were saying that this fire was humongous. It was actually maybe a little bit too big. They should have been concerned about it, but they wanted to make sure that they could see it from the water and get back to their campsite and that it wouldn't go away and burn out. So Chuck said that he was the first one that noticed something was going on. He said that there was a huge ball of light over his shoulder, and he told everyone else to turn around and look. They said it had a roiling effect, kind of like a sun, and that it was totally illuminating the treetops, and it was totally silent, which is awesome sounding.
Yeah, so just like a hovering ball of light?
Yes, that was moving and like undulating.
Feels like some Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah, like when a Patronus comes or something like that, or when
I'm thinking in particular of when Harry and Dumbledore went into that cavern where Voldemort left like a totem.
Yeah, that's right.
And there was just a ball of light that then just dips into the water.
That part's really rad.
And monsters come out.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Did you see the video? It was going around of kids like blowing up fireworks, and it looked like Priori Incantatem.
No.
It was like kids like doing stuff in the street and like, I don't know, like playing with things, and it did look like zoom, zoom,
Oh
zoom.
my God.
I think that maybe if you Googled it, it would come up.
Priori Incantatem.
So dorky. Imagine calling out Priori Incantatem in 2020. Nerds.
Everyone's still all about it.
Yeah. So Chuck saw the ball of light. Everybody turned around and saw it and was like, what the hell's going on here? So one of them decided to do an SOS signal with their flashlight at it to see what happened. And they said it got an instant response. All of a sudden, a beam came down from that light into the water. And at first, it was all good and kind of cool. So Chuck Rack said, quote, "The sensation I had was absolute elation. I couldn't believe we were about to find out what it was. We attempted to communicate with it, and it actually was responding. But then it started moving toward them really fast, and so that freaked them out. They started rowing to shore as quickly as they could, but they felt like they weren't going to be able to outrun it. Then the next thing they know, they're all on the shore, just like looking at the light, which is kind of close to them now. And Robert Stack's voiceover says, as though posing for a portrait.
Oh.
So I guess they're all just kind of like...
All of them
boop,
doing
boop,
the
boop.
thinker?
Yeah. Coolest portrait.
The four thinkers.
Right. They tried signaling to it again with their flashlight, but it didn't respond this time. And it just seemed to kind of like fold in on itself, get small, then move up, get big again, and then quickly move away until they said it was just like another star in the sky. They couldn't tell what was going on with it. And it sounds like they may have been in some sort of trance or like weird state because none of them talked about it. They weren't like, what happened to us? That was very weird. They were all just kind of like, night, and like went to their tents or whatever to go to bed and didn't discuss it.
Oh my.
The only thing that they agreed on that night was that if they figured they were out on the lake for about 20 minutes, but the humongous bonfire that was way too big was totally out by the time they came back. So that seems incongruous with that. And remember, like, it wasn't cell phone time, so that couldn't really give them any illumination, although they could have watches. Whatever.
Well, to like see like
How much time has actually passed.
Right. Yeah. I guess you're right. Maybe they just didn't have watches.
Yeah, maybe they bring who doesn't bring their watch on a 2-week trip on the Allagash waterway?
Yeah, but if you're like, listen, who
Maybe
goes on a 2-week trip?
You're right. Maybe you're trying to get away from civilization.
Maybe they're the kinds of people that like are survivalists and can gauge by the sun.
That's true.
You know, if the sun's not there, I actually learned this, then that means it's night.
Oh.
When it comes back, it's a different day.
You're a bit of a survivalist yourself, then.
Thank you for acknowledging it.
You're welcome. I've been called a naturalist before. I'm a bit of a naturalist.
I hope not. Yeah, I read the same thing though about how they use their campfire as sort of the ticking clock element.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen a lot of the show The X-Files, but I know that episode 1 has Mulder being all pumped because his watch is out of sync with the dash clock in his car. So it can show you, oh, time has changed for me individually.
Right.
So for them to have set a gigantic fire that's meant to go for a really long time, and it's so memorable, this fire, because they built it too big.
Right.
They're concerned that it was too big.
Right.
And then suddenly in the span of like 20 minutes, it's almost gone. That communicates the same point. Time has moved differently for us than it has for the fire.
Yeah.
But it is not quite as tight as if they literally had watches.
Right. There's no like concrete proof of being like, wait a second, actually it's X time and we left at Y time or whatever. They just have to go by the fire. So so they all go to bed. They just don't really talk about it. And the rest of their trip kind of continues without incident. So they come back and they said that they've told their friends and family about it over the years. And the friends and family kind of blew them off and were like, okay, whatever. Yeah, right. But Jack and Jim, those are the two twins, when they realized that they were having the same nightmares, they decided they wanted to address it and see what's going on and if it has anything to do with what happened at Allagash. Because now they've acknowledged what happened there as being a UFO thing, if they're obviously telling their friends and family about it. So they contacted UFO researcher Ray Fowler, who later wrote a book called The Allagash Abductions, just in case you want to check that out. And he referred the 4 men, because Jack and Jim got in touch with Chuck and Charlie, put them in touch with a hypnotist. So the way that it worked was that the men all went in separately, and they didn't tell anything to each other about what was uncovered or what they were going to say to the hypnotist. And then after their hypnosis sessions, each of them drew or painted accounts of what they remembered during that session. So they play clips of the hypnosis sessions in the episode. And actually, I want to read them to you. Let me go to them.
I looked this up too, this regression therapy.
Yeah.
I referred to it as because it had been however many years, 12 years?
Something like that. Since
the event had actually occurred before they did the therapy sessions. So I decided to look into what regression therapy is. So while you're finding that, let me just read
go
you
for
this. This is from goodtherapy.org. I have no idea how valuable or trustworthy this resource is. But they do say scientific research supporting the efficacy of regression therapy is limited, and this approach is somewhat controversial.
Yeah.
They point out that it's possible through regression therapy to uncover memories that are false and later proven to be false.
Yes.
And that people sometimes use regression therapy to remember past lives. And evidently that therapy works if you're the kind of person who believes in past lives.
Right.
Which means what?
Right.
You know, I don't know.
It could either mean that it's not anything, it's the power of suggestion, or it could mean that you're not able to access that if you're kind of blocking it because you don't buy it.
Exactly. Which is why I'm like...
It's very tricky.
You could just be a nasty blocker.
Yes.
Or it might not be real.
Right. Well, no, you could be a nasty blocker and it is real, but you can't get to it.
Right.
Or maybe you're open and it's real and you're able to access it because you're open to it.
Or maybe it's not real and they call you a nasty blocker because you insist that remembering past lives isn't a thing you can do.
Or that one.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so here are some excerpts. A nasty blocker.
Now that's a phrase.
Yeah.
You're just using that. Just continued using that.
A nasty blocker.
You nasty blocker.
All right, well, these guys weren't nasty blockers, because they accessed some things during these hypnosis sessions. So here's what Jim said. He said, they don't know what to do. I think they think I'm going to come after them. I feel like I want to. The first one that comes near me, I'm going to throttle him. I don't like these things. I don't care where they come from. They shouldn't be doing this to people.
Whoa.
Okay, that's his account. Then, or, there's more to it, but this is what they play on Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah.
Then this is from Jack. They're right there. Their face is right in my face. I don't know why. I don't want to know. I don't want to know what they want. They're saying things in my head. They're saying, don't be afraid. They say, do what we say. Just do what we say. Then this one is from Charlie. It's like a doctor's office. I get that it's cold like a doctor's office is cold. They put the panel over your chest. Then they scrape your arms and your chest, your legs and thighs. We shouldn't be here. I just keep thinking, I want to be back in the canoe. And then Chuck said that he could see what the aliens were doing to Charlie. I see some sort of device on him. They've got this looks like a silvery, it looks like it's got curves on it. It's almost like it sucks something. He's got his head tipped way back. It's almost like he's in pain. We can't help him. All we can do is watch him. So they, say that, go through their hypnosis sessions. They separately draw or paint just to interpret what it is that they said they accessed. And then they all come together with the hypnotherapist and with the UFO researcher to kind of compare notes, basically. They also, in the course of their separate sessions, said that the aliens took samples of skin, blood, urine, and semen from them. And so they start comparing notes, and they realize that they all have the same memory. They said they could finish each other's sentences telling the story of what happened and what it was like up there, and their drawings or paintings are all kind of similar. They have kind of the classic alien UFO gray type of aliens, where it's like the big bulbous head, the big black eyes. They have a craft with a beam that's pulling them up from their canoe. Honestly, one of their paintings was really good. I was like, this is a rad painting.
Well, they're painters.
Oh,
I found later on from looking more into Chuck Rack.
Yeah.
Chuck Rock. I think it's Rock.
Oh, okay.
But he is still a painter. And has had his work featured in like galleries and stuff. And I think it's Jim Weiner of the twins who describes how his painting style changed after this incident. He used to work primarily in like landscapes, things that he referred to, I think in an interview I saw, as like obvious. But that after this incident, it's exclusively about geometry. It's all shapes. And he kept calling it three-dimensional math.
Okay.
So like his style changed, but
yeah.
I don't know about the other two, about Charlie and Jack. But if at least two of them are painters, I wonder if like they were all in like the same painting program or something. I don't know.
Yeah, man, I don't know. So let me see. So Unsolved Mysteries has a talking head with a clinical psychologist whose name is William Cole, who talks about the effects of pop culture on abduction stories. He's somebody who actually researches repressed memories and hypnotism, bringing these up and that sort of therapy and what the deal is with it. And he points out that a lot of abduction stories involve these grays, which we've seen in movies going back to the 50s. So they may be kind of like getting in there into your subconscious and affecting what you think happened. And he also said that the people who are interviewing those who say they've been abducted are into this kind of thing. They're UFO investigators, and that they might be kind of tainting the data because they're biased. They know what other people with abduction stories say about them, so they're asking questions with that knowledge that maybe inadvertently are giving information to the person who's being interviewed. And so it's not necessarily a nefarious thing. It's not like everybody who does this is doing it for a profit or as a hoax or lying. Somebody could genuinely think that this happened to them and subconsciously be picking up on information that's fed to them and kind of forming their story to include it, to validate it, or just because things get mixed up in your head, and that's kind of the deal.
It's like a version of contamination.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It's tainting. Yeah.
The expectation of what this is a really weird point, but like in film, we have an expectation as people who have seen movies that we know what happens when, and this is, I'm just citing this because I've recently seen people talking about this.
Yeah.
Bullet effects in movies. We all know that when you fire a gun, there's a muzzle flash, and we know what it looks like when someone gets shot on the other side.
Right.
Right? Like there's like a pop, the blood spurts.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, that's not how it happens in real life.
Right.
But if you tried to accurately depict how guns work in a movie, people would say it looks fake.
Yeah.
Because it's not how we've been taught.
Right.
Over and over and over again, thousands of times over the course of decades, how guns work in movies.
Yeah.
And it's the same with everything. Like when you're doing sound design and visual design, it's got to match the agreed upon fake version of things for it to look quote unquote real.
Right. You have to match up with the public's perception because that's so strong at this point, even if that's divorced from reality.
Yes.
Because they're going to think if you make it the real thing, they're used to the fake thing.
Yes, exactly. So I think it's almost the same version of the thing here. Like if we're going to say that it was a UFO, it has to match the thing, at least in part, that we all agree UFOs are. Otherwise, people are going to dismiss it.
Right. You know, that reminds me of the UFO reports that the Navy has had in like 2017 or whatever. Those aren't the classic UFOs.
It's true. Yeah, you're right.
You know, they talk about them being kind of like a Tic Tac that flies. It's a totally different thing.
And in a weird way, it's almost in some ways it's more exciting because it bucks the trend.
Right.
We're not talking about saucer men.
Right.
So it's like, oh, maybe this is the real.
Yeah.
But in another way, it's a little dissatisfying because it makes you start to think, well, like, all right, well, then maybe it is just a craft from another country because it's not a flying saucer.
That's not what UFOs look like.
Exactly.
That's not what extraterrestrial UFOs look like. Right.
Yeah, like the reality has like a bias.
Yeah.
Like simple messaging is key. If you're pitching something, if you're trying to describe something and create a mental image in somebody else's head, simplicity and short phrases.
Yeah.
Like and so we just hold on to these like little cheats of what a UFO means. And so if you're trying to interview somebody about their UFO experience and they're saying weird stuff to you and you're like, well, tell me about like the light in the area.
Right, like telling what the craft looked like,
yeah, exactly.
or the saucer looked like.
And the second you say craft or saucer,
right,
those particular words ping a memory. And then you might be building that memory in that person's head. Now, I'm not saying that's what they literally did, but it's stuff like
or
that.
Intentionally.
Or
but that happens.
Right, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So that guy is pointing that out. And then they have kind of a counterpoint. They talk to another psychologist whose name is John Mack, who does talk to people who say that they've had abductions. And he says that a lot of people who are reporting abductions in his experience, aren't really into that kind of thing, and they're shocked to hear about other people's encounters and that there's stuff in the media. And he says that they often don't want it to be true and that he's not coming into those interviews with an agenda.
Okay.
You know.
Sure.
So fine. It kind of ends with a voiceover from Charlie Foltz kind of comparing disbelief in alien abductions to the disbelief that TVs could ever be a thing, you know, like 50 years prior or something when this was shot in the 90s or 80s. And Robert Stack picks that up to take us out of the segment, comparing these stories in a similar way to things like Jules Verne talking about men visiting the moon someday and the idea that was so far-fetched and that would never happen.
Right.
And so he posits maybe someday we're going to look back on these stories and we won't be able to believe that we ever had any doubt about them. And I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I feel like this is a phrase that's become increasingly popular probably in the last 10 years. I forget, I don't know who it's credited to, but the idea is that any technology that is sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah.
This is, I just Googled it, in 1962, science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke stated this, which has become like just a way of like in the Marvel movies, one of the things that they did with Thor, a character who is literally supposed to be the god of thunder. They were worried at the time they made that movie that by going to wherever Thor is from, Asgard, would look like magic and stuff. And they had just had that success with Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man, which was all sort of like science.
Yeah, and real worldy.
So one of the big things I remember that they put out around the time that Thor was being made was like, don't worry, we're not getting silly with magic. Any technology that is sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from magic. So science gone wild looks like magic. And that's what UFOs are. So like I agree with that on a very basic level. I also think it's a really great way to guard ridiculous things from seeming ridiculous.
Yes, definitely true, but I also see it.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good point.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's no fighting against it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anything taken too far is like that. So the other thing that you could say is kind of, credible for them is that they've all taken polygraph tests and passed. But remember, those aren't always accurate.
Yeah.
I think Will have something to say about that after we tell you about another podcast that's really cool.
Yeah, that's right.
If you listen to Guides to the Unknown, which you obviously do, I think you would really like the podcast Somewhere in the Skies, hosted by Ryan Sprague. I listened to this myself, and I think it rules. So the story is that when Ryan Sprague was 12 years old, he saw something in the sky that he couldn't explain. He's been searching for answers ever since, and he does that on this podcast. So now he wants you to go on the search with him on Somewhere in the Skies.
With current event commentary on UFOs, case histories, audio docs, and special guest interviews, every episode covers UFOs and the paranormal with those who both research and experience it, getting to the heart of these mysteries that continue to amaze, excite, terrify, and mystify us.
Yeah, so I think you would like the show because it covers similar subject matter to Guides to the Unknown. It definitely leans more heavily on the UFO side, but then there are just paranormal things sprinkled here and there, and he has really, really interesting guests on. And also, I feel like he has kind of a similar tone as us, where he researches things, he treats them with respect, but it's also a fun show. It's not like a really serious academic show. It's a little bit light. It's like comfy to listen to, but it also definitely makes you think. So if you haven't listened to it already, I really feel like you should. And Somewhere in the Skies releases new episodes every Monday and is available everywhere you get podcasts or at somewhereintheskies.com. And also I follow them on Instagram, and that's Somewhere Skies Pod. So definitely check it out. Ryan's awesome. The show is awesome. They have really cool guests on. Sometimes I found out about other podcasts that I like now because they appeared on Somewhere in the Skies. They actually cover a good amount of Unsolved Mysteries stuff. So I wanted to put this ad on this episode because number one, we're covering a UFO thing, and number two, it's an Unsolved Mysteries thing, which I also know Ryan is a big fan of. So go check out Somewhere in the Skies, tell them Guides to the Unknown sent you, and enjoy.
Hell yeah, go check it out. I think it's also cool to talk about these topics from the perspective of UFOs are just not my area of expertise. Mm-hmm. Arguably nothing is.
Well,
by the way.
But
everything that's been going on, particularly with the Academy
of Arts. Not the Academy of Arts and Sciences.
No, the Tom DeLonge To the Stars Academy of Arts and Sciences.
Yes.
All of that stuff, a lot of it goes way over my head.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely Somewhere in the Skies. Check that out. There's more of an understanding, more of a knowledge set that goes into speaking about these UFO stories.
Definitely. And he kind of humanizes them and breaks them down a little bit, where Will's absolutely right. They can get really heady and kind of confusing. But I feel like the way that Ryan talks about them makes them a little bit more digestible and understandable. And he's really enthusiastic about it in a way that is very catching. And it's a really good show. I really like it a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, having said all that, I'm about to dismantle the Allagash incident
Okay.
story.
All right. You know what? I think Ryan will be fine with that.
This is one of those
He's
things,
an information seeker.
Yeah, of course. And honestly, I'm not going to be dismantling it to the degree that it will be, ripped.
All UFOs are fake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or ripped or that this will even be completely ripped asunder. Mm-hmm. Because as you explained, there are 4 individuals. There are the Wiener twins,
right,
and the 2 Charlies. Which I thought was really weird, right?
Yeah, you're right. 2 Wieners, 2 Charlies.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, 2 Wieners, 2 Charlies.
A wiener for each Charlie.
It's true.
Keeping it even, Steven.
Uh-huh. Easy peasy.
Mm-hmm.
So, of the 4 of them, 1 has come out to say that this story is pure hooey.
Right.
And that would be Chuck Rock.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an article that was released in 2016, meaning that it had been almost exactly 40 years
Yeah.
since the Allagash incident occurred, or is said to have occurred. And Chuck Rock spoke to the Fiddlehead Focus. Again, link in the notes for all of our sources and everything, but this is fiddleheadfocus.com. It's a Maine publication.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what he had to say about the Allagash incident 4 years ago. The reason I supported the story at first was because I wanted to make money.
All right. I mean, coming out with it.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Far more than him just taking the story apart and claiming that none of it is true, something far more interesting is happening by Chuck Rock coming forward with his story here. He says, or seems to say, he's sort of, I can't really tell. One of the things he says makes it seem as if he's like, yeah, none of this ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like UFOs, I believe, could be visiting people. I just don't think it happened to us. He's said that.
Right.
He has said that he doesn't think they were visited by UFOs. But he's also spoken, by and large, in a way that makes me think that he's saying the underlying original encounter was real.
Okay.
But that the further embellishment of the story through the use of that regression therapy is not real.
Okay.
He said this, and again, I can't tell if he's being sarcastic or not, but here's the quote in the Fiddlehead Focus. "Oh yes, I saw the craft. I had an uncomfortable feeling of being stared at. I turned around and saw this very, very bright globe of light in the sky. It was changing color from white to red to green in a liquid kind of melding motion." One of the major points of the experience that they're said to have had is with the lost time.
Mm-hmm.
They built that giant bonfire, but it burned down seemingly faster than it should have,
Right.
indicating that maybe they had experienced time differently from the bonfire. Maybe they'd been taken away and brought back later than they would have believed from their waking up on the beach experience. Now, there's sort of a boring explanation from Chuck Rock of why this might not be true at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically boils down to the diameter of the logs they used
Oh, boy.
to make the fire. So I'm going to simplify it.
Okay.
Chuck Rock says, yeah, we just used like whatever logs we found, they were small. So of course it burned fast.
Okay.
Right? But now Charlie Fultz says, no, they were large. They were like the diameter of a human leg, meaning that it should have burned for longer.
So is Charlie Fultz being interviewed with Chuck in this?
I think that he was reached out for comment.
Right, for comment, okay.
Yeah. Now, I want to also point out, again, that this dispute over the size of the logs they used for the bonfire is not saying none of this happened.
Right.
It's saying, well, hey, the bonfire did burn down.
Mm-hmm.
But did it burn down faster than we anticipated or what? Did we
Right.
experience lost time or not?
Right. That's the root of it.
And so it still boils down to almost this like he said
Mm-hmm.
argument. And it's in a way like, who do you believe?
Yeah.
A person who says that now they've gone through therapy that has brought this full incident to light, or a person who insists, no, it couldn't have possibly happened. It
Right.
had to have been down to earth. And that could either be an individual in denial against a person who's enlightened, or a person who's concocted a story against somebody who's leveling and telling the whole truth.
Yeah, right.
So it's really hard to parse out the difference.
Yeah. What of the Wiener twins? Are they in this article?
Somewhat. I do have some commentary more about them from like how they now view Chuck Rock
Okay.
later. But I also want to point out that about the lost time experience, Chuck Rock put a real fine point on it by saying that that story is complete manure.
I did see that. Yep.
The word manure was in parentheses,
Yes.
which indicates to me that the Fiddlehead Focus
Yes.
changed it from a different word.
It was in brackets. Yeah.
I wonder what word it would have been.
I can't imagine. Dung?
Complete.
Guano?
That it was total guano. I don't know what voice that was.
It's kind of Trump-ish.
It was kind of, but it was like a little. It was like a valley girl Trump.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So according to Chuck Rock, their encounter was smacked down the next day by a ranger. So they had this experience. The next day, they go to this ranger and say, "Hey, we saw this ball of light." The ranger squashed the experience by saying that it was like it's probably just a spotlight because there was this hardware store that had its grand opening, and we had spotlights out front, so it was probably that. But Chuck Rock wouldn't buy it. He explained even that away by saying that the town that had the celebratory hardware store opening...
Right. Yeah, how big? I mean, that doesn't sound like that would be what it is. Not that I know
huge.
this.
No, yeah, it does not seem like it.
Yeah.
Was in a town called Millinocket, which he said is 75 miles away. I looked it up. It would be a 3-hour drive.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. That light couldn't be that strong, even if it was closer.
It doesn't make sense. New York is 1 hour from us, and we can't see those lights.
No.
So I'm not buying it.
No.
And then in a series of public interviews, like they were on the Joan Rivers show. They did like a ton of different shows. And Joan Rivers asked them point blank, had they been drinking, had they been doing drugs or anything. And Chuck Rock says that he was fortunately sitting furthest away from Joan Rivers, so he didn't have to say anything. But whoever was sitting closest to her was like, no, we didn't do anything.
Of course not, ma'am.
No, we didn't do nothing, Joan. But here's the thing. I have a quote here from Chuck Rock saying, I remember Jack brought some Afghan temple ball with him to share with the rest of us. Yeah, we were definitely stoned when we went out on the lake just before we got that sighting. Now,
Afghan temple ball.
listen, last week I had my fedora with the press ticket in it. I did some investigating. This week, I pulled that hat off so that I wouldn't look like a narc. And I Googled Afghan temple ball.
That's awesome.
And that's how I found this.
Did you find the Leafly page for it?
I don't know what Leafly is.
It's like a directory of like different marijuana strains that Ryan uses.
Trapped.
No!
Get to jail now. I found a website that I swear I've never been to before called therealmarijuanashop.com.
Okay.
Full disclosure, this was a listing for Nepalese temple ball.
And what was the kind that they were using?
Afghani temple ball. Afghan temple ball.
Okay.
Now, they did cite on therealmarijuanashop.com the following. Afghan temple ball hashish is known for its sticky, resiny color and texture, its sweet, tangy taste,
No way.
and its narcotic, dream-inducing high.
Ooh.
Allagash, you just got busted. I want that Conan O'Brien stamp of busted on the screen now.
I think we're on record as really enjoying, if not like weed itself. William and I really enjoy like weed culture. It's like very funny.
Right. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Afghan temple ball, huh?
I didn't tell you this. Okay, so this is something that's not too inside because people all across at least America are experiencing this. There have been a lot of fireworks going off. Like, less so, I guess, this week, but there had been fireworks going off like every single night. It was like a real pain. I was taking Crumbs for a walk today, and I found a bunch of fireworks boxes next to a box for like a duchy.
A duchy? I hope they passed it on the left. That's the law.
That's right. And a little weed packet.
How did you know?
Because there was like a little like guy on the front with like a weed leaf, and I turned it over, and I wanted to know whether it was like from a medical marijuana New Jersey dispensary.
I hope you used a stick. You didn't get your fingerprints on this thing, did you?
I was able to, I can't describe it, I was able to just get the edge and flip real quick like that. And it was from a California dispensary. So it was definitely like somebody's friend sent them a little bit of that like monkey kush or whatever.
Monkey kush.
I think monkey was in the name. It was like, oh yes, the brand was Monkey Medicine, Munky.
Johnny Chimpo from Super Troopers?
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Cool.
But anyway, yeah, so there were definitely some kids at the high school
Makes me sick.
smoking that monkey medicine and firing off fireworks.
Oh my God. Monkey medicine. They were probably using the fireworks to cover up the scent.
They probably were.
I stepped out my front door today.
Oh, yeah, you texted
and it
me.
smelled of sulfur.
I don't know what's up with that.
The devil has come to Highland Park to find whoever was on the monkey juice, or whatever you called it.
It was monkey medicine.
Hey, guys, you want to crank some monkey juice?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you, try this. Anyway, if you want your own Nepalese temple balls, $289 an ounce. A real steal.
It doesn't.
I have no idea.
I don't either. I don't know.
It means nothing to me.
don't know.
Seems like a lot. Seems like it costs a pretty penny.
I would think.
Anyway, so Chuck Rock then also went on to say, I don't call it a hoax, the story of the Allagash incident. Just brilliant storytelling. It's not the truth, but I have to admire the storytelling ability of these guys. Now, that's a very charitable way for Chuck Rock to leave the story.
Yes, certainly.
Here's what his former friends had to say about him. Charlie Foltz says that Chuck Rock is a man with a temper.
Oh.
He says that Chuck Rock has seen himself banned from multiple UFO conventions.
Oh.
Which, if you're saying that the Allagash incident is not real,
right,
it wouldn't surprise me that he's been banned.
Yes.
He's adding, we definitely steer clear of him because the guy is a loose cannon and a mental disaster area.
I'm liking this infighting. I will say Charlie Foltz had a very strong personality in the Unsolved Mysteries episode. I'm not surprised he's the one who has these sound bites.
Is that right?
Yeah, at the end of it, he was like, if you don't believe me, I don't give a damn.
Oh.
I know what happened. He was intense.
Even the people on the new Unsolved Mysteries have this really blunt way of talking to the camera.
Well, I guess they're talking about extremely harsh, whatever they're talking about must be a standout moment in their lives. So especially for something like this, where I'm sure a lot of people have said BS to them about it, I could see a defensive-ness kind of growing over time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel it's not totally unwarranted.
If you're constantly having people be like, hey, Skyman.
Yeah.
Hey.
Right. I could see why you'd look in the camera and be like, if you don't believe me, I don't give a damn. I know it happened.
I don't care.
Just you're just done with it.
I just don't care.
Yeah.
Here's what Jim Weiner had to say. I personally believe that Mr. Rock's self-aggrandizing rationalizations and disparaging accusations are simply the rantings of an angry and resentful individual on whom his former friends have turned their backs.
Ooh, I want to know what happened with these guys.
I think... here's sort of what it is.
Okay.
Jim Weiner further claims that it was actually Chuck Rock who had the scheme to make money off of their story.
Oh, okay.
According to Jim Weiner...
Real quick, is it look, I don't think it's so bad to make money off this if it's true. You know what I mean? If you're not lying about it, that's not really a scheme. That's just hey, we had this weird thing happen to us. People might be interested in it. Let's talk about it and make some money. Unless what you're about to say is a scheme where they were like, okay, let's say blah, 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 and it wasn't true.
I mean, yeah, it would certainly be a scheme. Certainly, the allegation from Jim, my buddy Jim,
right?
From Jim Weiner here about Chuck Rock's scheme. It's a scheme.
Okay.
This story portrays Chuck Rock as having a true blue scheme.
Okay, sorry, I jumped the gun.
But also, who cares? I don't know. It's I don't know. People seem to buy the... It's like the Watcher House again, to me. I find the New Jersey Watcher House to be fascinating.
Yeah.
It's a scary story.
Right.
I feel like it's probably just wanting to sell the house.
Right.
For a bunch of money.
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Right. It's not... I don't know if there's a law against it to lie and say that you had an experience that you didn't.
I mean, it seems, it's not ethical. So I'm saying I don't like it if that's the case. If the case is that they made
you
up
might
some
not
stuff.
like it. You might not ethically like it.
No.
I don't know if there's a law against lying about having seen a UFO.
Correct. I just want to clarify about myself so there's no mistake. I wasn't saying, so what, they lied and made that money. That's good. I was saying if the story that they're telling is true, I wouldn't call finding a way to capitalize on it a scheme. Then it's just a business plan using what you got. But if they're okay, let's do this, it's a lie, then I do not care for that.
Then I guess it's conning, right?
Yeah,
you're
then it's
conning
conning,
people out of their money by being I'll tell you the truth of something that never happened.
Right, but if you're just straight up telling the truth and deciding to make money from that, that's okay.
Right,
whatever.
Yeah. So here's what Jim Weiner says Chuck Rock came up with. Chuck Rock, according to Jim Weiner, wanted the four of them to publicly refute the handling of their case by the rest of the professionals that had helped their therapy story, that guy Raymond Fowler, who you mentioned before, and the therapist and everything. He wanted them to basically, as a unit, come out and be they're trying to take advantage of our story and they've misconstrued the facts. Primarily, the purpose of which would be, the public loves calamity and infighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from Chuck Rock's perspective, if this is to be believed, by them saying that the professionals who helped them recover their memories were lying about their story, what a great spectacle.
Right. And a look behind the curtain, kind of, at some of these things. Because then you could wonder what's going on in other famous UFO stories.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Now, here's what Jim Weiner explained about their reaction to Chuck Rock's supposed scheme. In response to his proposal, Jack, Charlie, and I all voiced our disgust with his ethics, adding at this point that they decided to cut ties with him. So that is theorized to be the moment when the four of them became three, and they got rid of Chuck Rocks. But here's Chuck.
So now
Rocks.
it's just a Charlie with two wieners.
Yeah, the balance is wrong.
Double up.
Yeah. Chuck Rock's reaction he says that he did not dispute Weiner's description of the events following the alleged abductions, and he claims it freed him to finally share the truth about that evening in 1976. When I was kicked out of the group, I felt a release. I was at liberty to tell the truth, he said. I don't have any sterling character to preserve. So by not saying that was a lie about him, it still is unclear to me. The story sort of ends here. I tried looking up any further reaction. There hasn't really been all that much in the last 4 years. And indeed, even just trying to look up much about the Allagash incident at all online, there are select few sources that really talk about it. And when they do, they largely just tell the story that you told. But is what Chuck Rock is saying by being like, I don't deny it, but it freed me up, isn't there a possibility that there's a version of the events where he came forward to the other three and said, I'm not saying that we lie and say that Raymond Fowler and the others misused our story. I'm saying
they did.
They did.
Right.
And none of this is true.
Right.
And we've been lying. And we've been lied to. And maybe he's even saying we've been manipulated.
Right. Like it's a big loop, basically. Like they were kind of lying unwittingly.
Right.
Perhaps.
Yes. So
I can't tell what he means.
I know, it's tricky. The way this article ends is with what I said to you before, where he goes, like, I do believe that things like this may have happened before, but I believe it has not happened to us.
Okay.
So
that's tricky.
I know, but he also says earlier in the article, I saw the craft.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm confused because he says it didn't happen. I don't know what's going on with this guy.
So it really breaks down, I think, into the following. This is my understanding. My subjective Will Rogers understanding.
Okay.
In 1976, four friends went to Allagash Lake. They started a bonfire. They wanted it to be used to mark the location of their camp, and they went out night fishing on a canoe.
Well, let's not skip a step. They lit up some Afghan tushy cush ball.
They got their tushes cushed.
Right. Yep.
And then they got out on the boat.
And then they parked them in the canoe.
They popped the pill, or whatever you would call it. The peyote buttons. I don't know how it's used. Some sort of an aerosol. Presumably. Who knows?
Yes.
Just shifting my hands. Just trying to dictate. Just trying to dictate the evening.
Just trying to keep the thread.
They go out night fishing, and they have an experience. They see something in the sky. A globe. Perhaps an Afghan temple ball.
Ooh, maybe.
Floating in the night, changing color.
Right.
Maybe it's a UFO, maybe it's not.
Yeah.
They get back to camp. The fire is basically burned down. They disagree on how big it had been prior. 12 years go by. And now the story develops as we have continually heard it.
Right.
As it's continually written about online. Regression therapy. Now I remember the craft. Now I remember seeing the creatures. Now I remember having samples of me taken by them. Total dispute amongst the four guys. They got the publicity for a while, but, just like the Beatles, John went his own separate way at a certain point.
Right.
And now it's just a complete mess. And nobody really knows. Nobody knows the truth.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a very simple, original event. Maybe there was a UFO.
Right.
Maybe there wasn't.
Right. That's all it boils down to is the original event, yes or no. And then nothing else is yes or no.
It feels to me like the well is poisoned.
Yeah, definitely.
The story's just been changed too many times. It's just too convoluted, and there's no proof. There's no proof.
And there are too many questions about whether that sort of regressive therapy is even a thing. Did the power of suggestion affect it?
Yeah.
There's just, you're right, it's just very tainted. It's hard to figure out.
Yeah, and I'll add this, because again, the focus of my research for the show tonight was primarily about this Chuck Rock story, picking it apart and everything. I've looked into Chuck Rock a bit, and like the art that they use for him in the article is a self-portrait that he made of himself, and it's a somewhat caricature kind of looking thing. So I was like, oh, he's an artist. So started trying to find, does he have a page or anything? 4 years have passed since this article. He kind of does. He has like an Etsy shop that's closed down. There's a few lingering articles about how his work was being displayed in galleries and stuff. By all accounts, from what I can tell, he seems to be a peaceful painter.
Yeah.
He moved to New Mexico and he paints.
Right.
And I like that. And as for the three other guys, Charlie Foltz and the Wiener Bros, they occasionally will still do interviews about this story continuing on. And so, I don't know, in a weird way, it feels like a kind of cozy, the beat goes on for everyone.
It sounds like it does. It sounds like it does. They disagree, but it sounds like they've all moved on from it in their ways.
Yeah.
Or moved with it, I guess.
I'll leave you with this.
Please.
Because I wanted to then find, if I can't find a lot more Chuck Rock, I want to find somebody talking about Allagash Lake. There are no Google reviews of the place. It has not become a tourist attraction, from what I can tell, at least, of UFO aficionados.
Yeah, I don't know if this is like a huge story. It's obviously something people know about. It was on TV. People talk about it. They go to conventions and stuff. But it's not Area 51 or something.
Yeah, it seems to be under the radar a little bit. But here's a comment left on an article from UFOinsight.com by a user known only as Doc. And this is from 2018, so it's more recent than anything else, at least. Have known about this case over 30 years. I am sure it happened, and have had my own experiences, which I now charge to demonic sources. These beings are malevolent and not friendly to humans. Both malevolent and not friendly, which is a brutal.
Look, we love a double up of evidence.
We do.
So this is just right in that vein.
It's true. The after effects last for a very long period and amount to pernicious and harmful effects, which are significantly injurious and harmful to a person's peace of mind.
Wow.
Says Doc.
This is some word salad. This is obviously a doc, because of how this is written.
Dr. Emmett Brown.
That's right. This is a smart man using big words.
1,000%.
Smart person.
So, I don't know. Maybe the party does kind of keep going. It did smack to me a little bit of like when we talked about Skinwalker Ranch, the Utes believing that water is a source for like demonic entities and power and stuff.
Right.
And like seeing a ball of light above this lake in Maine, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird things happening around water. We've seen it happen before on Guide to the Unknown.
Yeah,
so
certainly.
It tracks.
It tracks.
It tracks.
Who knows?
But there you go. That's my look into the sort of dismantling.
Yes.
Of the Allagash incident.
Yes. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. We had a real complete thing, or a story, the dismantling of it, a rising and a falling.
Yeah.
Just like this episode itself. We are at the end. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you go to gttupod.com, you can find links for everything. You can find our merch store with shirts, pins, hats, patches, stickers, everything with the Guides to the Unknown logo on them. Or you can go to tpublic.com/user/GTTUpod if you want to check those out. You can also join our secret Facebook group, the Guides to the Unknown Secret Society. Just type that into Facebook and you will find it. We would love it if you told your friends about the show, if you left us a 5-star review, and we would really love it if you hopped on over to patreon.com/GTTUpod and decided to donate to the show. And in exchange, we have lots and lots of bonus material for you over there, including a monthly podcast episode that comes out on the 13th, and so it's coming up very soon in real time.
Yeah, on Monday there's going to be a brand new episode of the Netherworld Dispatch.
Yep, and we appreciate it a ton, and so we want to give these things back to you to thank you for helping us out.
Yeah. Also on Tuesday, another new episode of our spin-off podcast, Ghost Adventures will be coming out. Kristen and I are watching Ghost Adventures from the Travel Channel and Zach Bagans, episode by episode, and giving awards for best quote, most dramatic moment. We're looking at the evidence they capture of the paranormal and rating if it's the best or the worst.
Yep.
This Tuesday, we're going to have a brand new episode coming out where the crew went to Moundsville Penitentiary And honestly, spoiler alert, it's one of the most electrifying
Yes.
paranormal shows I've ever seen.
Yes,
It is
I agree.
crazy.
It's definitely my favorite of the 3 we've watched so far. So definitely check that out. And you can also find Will and I personally everywhere online. I am at Chillin' Kristen.
I am at The Myth Traveler. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us and taking this trip to Allagash Lake with us.
That's right.
Enjoy the sights. And enjoy the smell of that temple ball.
That's right.
I assume you just sniff smoke from the air.
Yeah, that's how smoking pot works, right?
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
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 You just sniff around.
Right.
We'll be back next week. We'll be back next week for something else. I don't know. But until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the netherworld, go we.
No wonder I feel so silly. Maybe
Because
this,
you've been sniffing pot?
maybe this drug is so
Been
potent that
sniffing pot balls?
I think maybe this drug is so potent that if you even read about it on the internet, you get an effect. Is it possible?
You got a contact high from reading about it.
I know from just seeing the words on my monitor.
Right on.
Wild, everybody.
Yay.
What's going on?
Thank you for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed it.
Eric got to us late, but he has something great to say. I plan on starting my own podcast a few years from now. I plan on calling it Eric's Guide to the Unknown, Ghost Adventures, Adventures, Adventures.
Fantastic.
I
I'll
love it.
be your first subscriber.
Reaction show.
Yeah.
He also wrote, interesting thing related to the regression therapy. Hypnosis doesn't seem to work or work well on people who have aphantasia, indicating it may rely on the ability to visualize. Is aphantasia
Interesting.
the thing where like you can't get a mental picture?
I guess so. That makes sense.
I think
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense. Like Fantasia, I think, would be visualizing. So aphantasia would be not being able to.
yeah, aphantasia is a mental condition characterized by an inability to voluntarily visualize mental imagery. Many people with aphantasia also report an inability to recall sounds, smells, or sensations of touch. I wonder if they dream,
Yeah. I don't know.
right? How do
Right,
dreams work?
right.
Dreams are very visual for me.
Yes, same. I don't know. Maybe they don't.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
That's really
I don't know.
interesting.
CBFR asked a very important question. Hey, William, when you went outside and smelled sulfur, did you eat beans the night before? Yes, and every night for the last 33 years.
Duh.
How dare you? I really did.
I know.
I
He
s-
texted me and said, "Do you smell sulfur?" I think it's the end of days.
I thought maybe it was like a town thing. I stepped out front and smelled sulfur, and then I let Molly out the back door, and it smelled like sulfur, and I was like, is like hell coming to Earth?
Did a hellmouth open up in town?
But I
No,
also think that
opened-
sulfur is in fireworks, so I'm assuming that somebody just
Oh.
set off a real stinkeroo.
I guess so.
Maybe
yeah.
you got stink bombed.
Maybe you did get stink bombed. Yeah, I opened up the door and gave a sniff, and I didn't smell anything.
Eric says they do. Do you have aphantasia, Eric? Though they're meaning people with aphantasia, do they dream?
Right.
But he adds they're kind of like vague memories. So like a dream.
Yeah.
Like, I obviously do not have aphantasia.
Right.
For me, my dreams become vague memories like a half hour after waking. They become incredibly vague.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like
Maybe.
you have that half hour after waking up feeling right away. You know?
Yeah,
Like, is
maybe.
it already kind of drifted off?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yo, everyone.
Cool.
Yo.
Yeah.
Whoa. Whoa. All right, I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess that's all we got.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for
Yep.
hanging out with us. Really hope you had a good time.
Yeah.
All right,
That's it.
we're gonna go now. I really do. I just feel silly.
Well, are we gonna do that thing?
I feel like a
Should we
silly
say
goose.
it?
Oh, do you want to do it live?
I assumed.
Oh, it didn't occur to me that we would do it. Do you have the mojo for it?
Yeah.
Okay, so do I.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we're just gonna do another thing now, everybody.
Yeah, we're gonna on patreon.com/GTTU pod, we're gonna do a little streaming of Will playing Red Dead Redemption. You explain, because I don't even really know.
Yeah, there's a game out. It's been out for a very long time now, but I finally got into it myself. What's happening? Is that me or is that okay? We're
What?
fine. You couldn't hear it. It was in my headphones.
Oh.
There's a game called Red Dead Redemption 2 that I really enjoy, and there are things in the game that are somewhat like Easter eggs or random encounters you can have. I recently,
Oh, right.
yeah, so I recently had one where it was a whole side quest about trying to find a serial killer.
Right. I
And
do
it-
want to see that.
And it was dope. and I tried to send it to Chris. Well, I've already done that one, but there are others like it.
Yeah.
So, like, I think there are UFOs in the game, and there are, like, other, like, you know, cryptids that you can come across. It's a game set in the Old West.
Yeah.
So we're literally just going to fire up another stream on Patreon right now, and I'm going to try to find one of those side quests. I'm just going to Google one so that we get a guaranteed spooky thing.
Great.
But it's just going to be a laid-back thing. I don't know if it's going to take me a couple minutes to find it in the first place or what. But if you're up for it, definitely join us over on patreon.com/GTTUpod right now, because we're just going to do it. I just kind of feel like doing it.
Yeah, we both have the giggles. We may as well keep our energy.
Yeah.
Keep it going, so why not?
Hell
And
yeah.
Eric does have aphantasia, or however it's pronounced.
Oh, is that right?
He said that I literally thought people were just using hyperbolic language when they said they were seeing things in their heads.
Oh, wow.
I didn't realize until I was in my mid-20s that they were being serious. Yeah, I've heard of that before.
That makes sense to me. Honestly, I didn't know I needed glasses for a really long time, because you just don't know. You're having your own experience and you take it at face value. So that makes absolute sense to me. That's wild, Eric.
I remember like talking about how I would rest my eyes when I was mixing color. I'd like close my eyes and mix it just to rest my eyes, and also rest my eyes when I was going to the bathroom. And I thought like everybody did that. It's like, no, people aren't just like closing their eyes like all the time.
My eyes constantly need to rest. Yeah. Anytime I'm not literally looking at something, my eyes hurt and feel tired.
Someone was like, maybe you need glasses. And I was like, maybe I do need glasses.
It's pathetic, isn't it?
What was that?
I don't hear other people talk about it very much, but the moment you realize you need glasses is frequently embarrassing.
Yeah. I was like, oh. I also felt like I've been waiting for this moment my whole life because I always wanted glasses. But
yeah, that's
still.
true. I remember you saying that you like.
Yeah.
When you were young, you had like style glasses.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. You just wanted them real bad. Congratulations.
Thank you. Now I find them a little annoying.
Your eyes suck.
Yeah. They keep getting fogged up and dirty and stuff. It's kind of annoying, but I also don't want to get contacts. So.
I like wearing glasses.
I like them. I'm annoyed at having to clean them a lot.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I remember when I was a kid, whenever Dad would take off his glasses, his face looked weird.
Totally.
And he had impressions on his nose from the pads of his glasses where they rested, and I just thought he looked really strange.
Yes.
Like he had like little.
He did look strange.
Little beady eyes.
Yeah,
like when,
totally. Does Will look weird right now to you guys?
Yeah. Do you guys think I look weird without my glasses right now?
I think we look kind of weird, actually.
Has it been long
like
enough?
Not insane or anything, but
Well, my face is also blurry on the screen for me right now. So
oh, it's clear on this, so I think it's probably clear in general.
What are you talking about? I'm saying because I don't have my glasses on.
Oh. I thought you meant like I don't know. It doesn't matter.
What are you talking about?
Hi,
About my
Andrea.
own subjective experience with my eyes.
Okay.
Why is everything blurred? It's clear to me. Do I look weird without my glasses?
I think we look a little bit weird. All right, I'm putting them back on.
All right.
Good, Michelle. I'm glad that we have something for you to watch.
Yeah. You look clear to
This
me
is
on
dumb.
this screen.
Okay.
I mean, you got to agree that that's funny, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Not weird at all, Eric says. All right.
Oh, okay,
All
that's
right, I'll
good.
take it.
Yeah.
My face just has like a lot of extreme features, like big bushy eyebrows and stuff.
I
Like,
think
feel
with
like
the glasses, you have extreme features. I don't think it's extreme besides that. You have like, you don't have big bushy eyebrows. You have like normal eyebrows.
Really?
Yeah, your beard is just big, and your mustache. Those are normal.
Glasses come off and peeps get stupid.
Yeah, my smarts are all stored in my glasses, apparently.
All right, everybody. We're going to go over to patreon.com/GTTUpod.
Come hang out.
Do a little cowboy game. Try to find some horror stuff real quick. Probably not for long.
Yeah. But
I'll
let's try it
cop to
out.
that. Probably not for long.
Yeah.
But yeah, see you all over there, everybody.
All right. See you in a little bit.
Hey, bye.
Bye.